It's my favorite childhood memory. It's that one memory that I go back to with fondness. It's an old friend. It makes me happy. I was doing the one thing that I absolutely love to do and that I was very good at. I have skills in the woods. I just do. Now, I can't sit here and tell you the names of all the plants and trees and so on and so forth. I'm not going to pretend that I can. I don't know all of these fancy traps and so on and so forth because I don't. Unless it's the Arctic, I don't think there's a single place on this planet that you could not drop me with a knife that I would not survive and come out of better than I went into it. Barring any unforeseen injury, of course, because that's the great equalizer. But I love the woods. It makes me happy. And as you can probably imagine, my favorite memory takes place in the woods when I was around 12 or 13 years old.
Hello, this is a prepaid call from an inmate at the Virginia Department of Corrections, Red Onion State Prison. To accept this call, press 0.
This is Red Onion Randy, and welcome to my podcast. I hope you enjoy listening to me. Today, I'm actually going to tell my favorite childhood memory. As you can imagine by listening to my past podcast, I don't have very many of them. But this is my absolute favorite memory of all time. And before I went to the New Dominion Wilderness Program, I had never heard of it. I never knew such places existed. I was in Desjardins, which was a juvenile prison / mental institution for juveniles. I stabbed a fork through my wrist one night at the detention home in Charlottesville to kill myself, and that's where I wound up. I was placed there for around 9 months, give or take a month. And one day my caseworker showed up and told me to pack what I had, so I threw the couple sets of clothes that I had in a garbage bag and got in his car with him, and he drove me to New Dominion Wilderness Program in Buckingham, Virginia, and he dropped me off. I had a meeting with some of the counselors, and he left, and I never seen him after that. It's a little wilderness program, like I said. We lived in tents. We didn't live in houses or dormitories or anything like that. We would have a wooden skeleton, a frame made out of trees that we had cut down ourselves by hand, and we took draw knives and skinned all the bark off of them, let them dry, and then we notched them and everything, and we put them up and framed them together with wooden dowel rods, no nails. And we had a tarp on the top of it, plastic on the middle of it for, a somewhat see-through window, and then tarp on the bottom. And we had gravel with military bunks. That's how we lived. And it was, like I said, it was a true wilderness program. I spent many days saw splitting and stacking, which is cut the tree down, carry it back in sections, saw it up into rounds, and then take an axe and split it, and then stack it. We cooked our own food twice a week, which Wednesday and Thursdays we had to cook our own food in the actual camp. And that's usually my job because I'm a very good cook. And I love to do it. It's very peaceful, and for someone who likes to eat, it's pretty imperative that you learn how to do so. But, The other 5 days in the week we had to go up front to, the first part of it, because New Dominion was spread out over quite a lot of ground. I don't know how many acres they had, but it was a lot. And it was rough living, but we had to go up front 5 days a week to get our meals in a dining hall. One of the things they did there was every year you would get to go on a hiking trip on the Appalachian Mountains. And I remember one day we was down here hiking in, it was either Southern Virginia or it was Northern Tennessee. That little section of trail right there is where we was hiking. And I remember it was early in the morning. It was rainy and it was overcast and it was really, really foggy. And we was coming up the mountain, and I had about a 75-pound backpack on. It was heavy, and I had a military poncho on, and I was just dripping sweat underneath because of the humidity. And I'm struggling up the mountain, and we're all stressed out. There was maybe 16 or 17 of us, including the counselors that were with us. And we're all stressed out, because different ones of the kids and whatnot, they had different levels of strength and endurance. I was somewhere about the middle, because I was only around 12 or 13 years old at this time. And I'd gotten out of Descharnet and everything, which was a childhood mental prison, mental institution / prison for young adults, where I'd stabbed a fork through my wrist trying to commit suicide one day. But I'm walking up, and there's thick rhododendron bushes on both sides. You feel really hemmed in, and it kind of felt like you somehow traveled back in time to the dinosaurs, like the dawn of time. I mean, it's a really cool feeling, but a little bit creepy and eerie at the same time, and I was loving it. You got the trees, and it's like I said, it's the canopies and the branches hanging over the trail, and it's real dark, and it's wet and muggy and humid. And I come up, and as I get up near the top of the mountain, we come out into a clearing, and it's not a huge clearing. I would say maybe, I would probably guess at about 20 acres maybe. And you had an old crabapple orchard there, and these trees were spread out throughout the clearing. And you had this wild horse herd. One of the few remaining in the U.S. The people that were in front of me were stopped, and they were all gathered together. It was quite beautiful, and I walked over to the crab apples, and I plucked some crab apples from the tree, and I held my hand out, and it took about maybe 15 minutes, but I was able to entice a couple of the wild colts over to eat the crab apples from my hand. Once they got comfortable with us, and their mother was comfortable with us, and realized that we weren't going to hurt her, her babies, she allowed it, and they became real comfortable, and I started, stroking their fur and, patting them and scratching them and everything. And it was just one of the most amazing feelings, and by far my greatest childhood memory. I stayed at New Dominion for 18 months, and I hated leaving it. I was actually mad when they told me I had to leave to go live with a foster family. I didn't let it show. I kept it to myself. But yeah, inside, I was pretty pissed that I had to leave that place. That's one of my go-to memories when I start to get sad or down and depressed. I like to I like to remember that childhood memory.
You have
1 minute remaining.
This is Red Onion Randy. I hope you enjoyed listening to my podcast. If you don't mind, go and check out my website, redonionrandy.com. And for those of you on Apple, I would truly appreciate it if you would review and rate me, preferably 5 stars, but whatever you think I deserve, I'll take. Take care and stay safe.
Thank you for using GTL.